friends. We're back. Second live stream of the day. My name is Dark Lady Selena. You are watching us live. If you like what I do here, please like, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications so you don't miss another vid. And we're going to talk about a post by Harold Carter. And I think reacting to this is a good thing to do because it reminds us that we are building or trying to build a community of care, a community where people come together. So I saw this post and I thought we should talk about it. As you may know, on the internet, well, when you're a media personality, right, and you put your name out there, there's always going to be people that will come after you, and there'll always be people that enjoy flaming others. And when I saw this post, I really wanted to discuss it with you guys because this is an ongoing thing. That this really shows the level of bullshit that we deal with as content creators time and time and time again. We deal with this idea of people kind of bitching out each other and being mean and all of this. So with that being said, we're going to jump straight into this. If Harold's watching, hello to Harold Carter. I hope he is. Usually I don't really cover these type of posts. I try to stay neutral as much as humanly possible. But when it comes to the sanity that we as content creators have, this needs to be discussed. All right, let's jump into this post. I've seen my name pinned to the top of other pagan platforms called horrible, dangerous, and fake. All right, so let's just unpack that. In paganism, like, the thing with being a media personality is people don't get you, right? They really don't. They see you doing all of this stuff online, right? Traveling across the US, establishing a covendom, making a safe space for witches, right? And so people naturally jump on the flame bandwagon. Why? Because they hate to see successful people. That's part of the problem. They hate to see people who have changed their lives around and people who are just making a name for themselves, establishing somewhere where witches of all ages can come and gather, right, in serenity. And I think as witches, we need to be better than this. We need to quit flaming each other. We really do. But a lot of it goes on social media, right? I've had people come after me for a long time. And I'm kind of used to it. But other content creators, right, take it slightly more personal. Usually I don't take things personally. I just don't. But there are a lot of content creators out there who get really pissed off when people just attack them for no reason. And all of it is down to this idea of jealousy, right? People are always jealous for what you have, and they'll try and kind of attack you for that. And Harold Carter has been attacked multiple times just for being Harold Carter, right? Whether he's doing music, whether he's doing witchcraft TV, whether Harold Carter even breeds. People are attacking him, calling him all these names. Does it make it right? Absolutely not. But it's kind of, social media has always been a double-edged sword. You can never please everybody. There's always going to be the detractors. There's always going to be trolls. And when we look at this post, right, how can people just call you horrible without getting to know you? That's the first thing, right? Is a lot of times people just that they put labels onto you just because they don't like what you said, just because they don't like how you look, just because they don't like the message that you're trying to convey. You could be the world's greatest content creator with millions of fans, and they're still going to come after you. They're still going to nitpick at every single thing that you do. And sadly, this is what we're seeing with Harold Carter, is people are attacking him. You know, if you had the balls to call somebody horrible, at least back it up with evidence. You can't just, like, no decent human being has that right just to call somebody horrible unless they've done something horrible to them. And as long as I've known Harold Carter, he's never been horrible. He's trying to run a business. He's trying to oversee a covendom. He's trying to really change his life around. None of that, in any rational sense, could be deemed as horrible. Just not. I mean, it's the dumbest thing you could call somebody. As for dangerous, is what Harold Carter doing dangerous? No. There's nothing dangerous about it. What he has established is his own style of covenant, his own style of teaching. He is an ordained priest and he knows what he's doing. His goal is to not just have Witchcraft TV as a network, but also to empower people to find their footing and to find their voice. And everybody is welcome on Witchcraft TV. There's nothing dangerous there. He's not kind of attacking it. He's not trying to raise a militia or trying to kind of, I don't know, form a cult or anything. But again, these detractors, they see Harold Carter on Facebook or they're watching Witchcraft TV and something doesn't jive with them. Suddenly they jump on the hate bandwagon, they go to Reddit, they go to other forums, they start flaming without any evidence at all, just because they took offense to what someone said. They took offense to somebody's social and sort of perspective on paganism. And people get so easily butthurt these days, but then suddenly to label somebody as dangerous, sure, he's had a very checkered past. We all have. But he's overcome that. He's changed his life around. He's not the same Harold Carter that you would have met a long time ago. He's a totally different person. And now he's focused on spreading the word, right? He's traveling across the US. He's trying to get more and more people interested in trying to learn what is witchcraft. How can I practice witchcraft? How can I be a better version of myself? There's nothing dangerous there. He's not like saying, give me all your money and move to the middle of nowhere or trying to establish a cult. It's not what he's doing at all. But again, the detractors come into all of these great comments and they're like, well, let's just start labeling, right? And then as for calling him fake, I don't care if you're pagan or not, but it's not your place to call somebody fake. See, it's this thing. It's words like fake and dangerous and horrible, they stick with content creators. There's a reason why being a content creator, you have to have a very strong back. Because there's always going to be these idiots out there who are like, oh, yeah, that's fake. So he's got tattoos. He must be fake, right? So he's doing this. He must be fake, right? It's, again, these comments are made about him without any credible evidence. But again, there are plenty of detractors on social media who are just itching to kind of throw the labels around and to kind of go after us as content creators. I've been doing content for a very long time. So is Harold Carter. We're used to it, right? But it should never come to this point where we have to do a post highlighting the issue, because it should never have gotten there to begin with. If you have a legitimate beef with somebody, take it out with them. Don't just go onto the forums and sort of start posting on pagan websites without evidence, because people read that and they're like, well, holy shit, right? He must be all of these things. All right, he continues. Let me say this clearly. Real witchcraft does not weaponize gossip. True pagan leadership does not thrive on cruelty. He's right. 2000% right. Real witchcraft, right? We don't. The thing with witchcraft is our goal is to be servants to nature. Let's just call it that, right? Now, we don't, the thing that we should always try to avoid is to not fall into the pitfall of harming none. Gossip harms. So people who are weaponizing gossip can't really call themselves witches because they're violating the read. In the read, it's very specific. Harm none. Harm includes gossip. Harm includes flaming. Harm includes doxing on social media, right? But these people, they act as witches. They sound like witches, but then they attack each other on forums, or they make YouTube videos, or they're on the TikTok, right? Can you really call yourself a witch if you're spreading gossip? And this is the $10,000 million question, right? You can't call yourself a witch and then start attacking people. It make the math isn't mathing, right? If you were a real witch, you would just try to find some common ground, and you would know that spreading gossip is fundamentally wrong, and we shouldn't be doing it, especially when we weaponize it, right? We get, like the type of people I'm talking about, they sort of start a rumor and then they tell all their friends the rumor, and then the rumor spreads. And by the time that rumor has reached fever pitch, right, it's a weaponized version of gossip. So it starts with a simple he said, she said, or we don't like his beard for some reason, whatever the situation. And that simple comment, when posted online, there's going to be this great big following, right? Where people come out of the woodwork and they're like, yeah, I met Harold Carter when he was 5 years old and he had a big machete and he came after us. You know, some bullshit like that. And this is why this type of gossip can be heavily weaponized. And it's why we as witches, we frown against it. We're like, oh, hell no. This ain't gonna work. No, in witchcraft. And in paganism, right? True pagan leadership does not thrive on cruelty. Paganism is not cruel in its nature. This is the point. These idiots that make these comments, right, that start attacking content creators, you can't really call yourself pagan. If what you're doing is hurting that content creator, if what you're doing is causing us to stop doing whatever we're doing, right, and to respond to accusations or to respond to this, to respond to that, it wastes our time. But it also shows just how cruel society can be. And we as pagans, no matter what religion you are within that pagan sphere, you could be a Satanist, for example, right? But you know better than that. We should be better. I shouldn't have to be doing a video on this, but these attacks on Harold Carter are getting to the point where it's no longer a joke. It's turned very serious. He continues, we are the descendants of the burnt. We do not burn each other. He's right. Witchcraft has a very long history of violence. Well, violence against women would be the best way to explain it. Our history is that which is marred in blood. And it's marred in blood because of people's hatred to the unknown. People targeted witches and blamed them for absolutely everything, right? They accused them of summoning demons and all of this. And so our history is one that does involve the flame, very much so. But that doesn't give us the right to start flaming each other. If you legitimately had a beef with a content creator, take it up with them, resolve it. But you shouldn't be flaming. You shouldn't be kind of throwing around accusations. Now, look, Harold Carter is not perfect, right? None of us are. We've all made mistakes in our past. We really have. But the thing is, we grow from those mistakes. We continue to change our brand, to continue to change how we respond, right? I always read YouTube comments. Sometimes they're absolutely hilarious, right? Other times you get idiots on there who are talking way off topic. I had that this morning when I did a stream over on Rumble, right? And somebody put in some really stupid troll-like comments. I just ignored it. But the thing is, paganism does not promote cruelty in any shape or form. So what is cruelty? Well, it's this idea of weaponizing hate. It's this idea of harassing people online. It's this idea of spreading gossip where there's no reason to spread it. That's cruelty. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, how can that be cruel? Because words can hurt. You know, being a content creator, right, you have to have a backbone, but it still doesn't stop words from hurting. Because when he says something, you say something, everybody says something, right, it gets blown out of proportion. Suddenly all the insults get thrown around. People don't tend to think. They tend to just flame and move on without realizing that what they've actually said may not hurt the person they're targeting, but it most definitely will hurt somebody, because somebody eventually will read that and they'll think, oh my gosh, like, what is going on here? And they get offended. Then everybody gets offended. And this is why we don't promote cruelty in any shape or form within the pagan umbrella. Every time we tear down a fellow practitioner, we feed the very forces that try to silence us. We fracture the sanctuary we claim to protect. Yeah, he's 100% right. 100% right. Part of the bane of social media is people, like, I made this point earlier in this morning's live stream about the devil card. People seem to get fueled up by spreading bullshit. And they get fueled up by kind of attacking people who are successful. Now, look, I am not successful. I'm just some girl doing live streams, right? But people will always go after others who are successful, others who have changed their lives. And their goal is to kind of strip away at all the positive and just focus on the negative. Sure, he's had a troubled past. We all have. There isn't a perfect human out there, but we shouldn't be tearing away at each other. We shouldn't be like, oh my gosh, we're going to go after Harold Carter because he breathed, right? It's, again, I shouldn't have to do a video like this, but I wanted you guys to see what it is that we as content creators go through on an almost daily basis. Is this idea where social media, to some degree, is incredibly feral. People don't think before they post. They just post, and they think their post is going to be a hit viral post when, in fact, we just look at that post and we're like, well, holy crap, what is this person on? How do people have the time in the day to continue to attack a content creator who is just trying to make the world better? This is the point. When we attack each other, when we flame each other, when we do all this stupid crap online, it stays. You may think, okay, well, if I delete a post, that must mean that post is going to be ignored forever. No, because we've seen the post. We've seen the attacks. We've seen how hateful people can be. And these are the very people who are still claiming to be pagan, or they're claiming, oh yeah, our path is better than your path. Our way of thinking is better than your thinking. Our way of talking is better than your way of talking. Oh, look, Harold Carter is driving across the US in a witch hauling. Therefore, he must be up to no good. It's these type of things which we as content creators, we notice. We remember what people say about us, and it kind of sticks, right? Because now you have all of these posts circulating on pagan forums. You have all of these different kind of accusations and all this bullshit being spread. It sticks. Just because you delete the post doesn't mean it was never there to begin with. Doesn't mean that we didn't see it as content creators. All right, let's move on. So I call us back to integrity. Yeah, we need to establish integrity. The people who do this crap, they don't have integrity. They lack any form of accountability. You are accountable for whatever you post online, no matter what it is. It could be a funny meme, or it could be, I don't know, a flaming insult. But people that do this, they lack any form of accountability. They think it's okay. They think, oh yeah, look, we're going to go and flame somebody else today, right? We're going to dox them, and we're going to call them all these stupid names. And aren't we cool, without realizing you should be held accountable for what you post? Harold Carter always holds himself accountable. I hold myself accountable for what I post. I may post random shit, right? But I take ownership of that. People may not like my posts. Okay, big deal. But I take accountability for it. The problem with people that have gone after Harold Carter is they lack any form of integrity. You can't, if you are a witch and you start flaming somebody, where's your integrity at? Where's your accountability at? We don't think it's funny, right? We really don't. Having to stop what you're doing on a daily basis just because somebody's flaming you on a forum, sure, you could say, oh yeah, you shouldn't feed the trolls and all of this, but it's not that we're feeding them. Is that we are looking at what they're saying and we're thinking, well, holy shit, what is wrong with this person? They're throwing accusations. They're kind of assigning labels without really realizing what these labels mean. Very few people who post this crap online, they don't really know what dangerous means. They don't know what horrible means. That they kind of lack this common sense. All right, let's continue. If you believe the lies, I hold no malice. Yeah. And he's right he's right here. Look at yourself when you post this thing. Sorry about that. When you post this crap, look at yourself. The big takeaway here is if you're posting this crap, you better look at yourself because you're not perfect. So there we go. My words of wisdom here. You may not like the content we do. You may not like the fact we have a Wiccan school. You may not like the fact that Covendom is growing, and you may not like the fact of witch hauling, but that's on you. That's not on Harold Carter. That's on you. You have formed these ideas in your head. So there we go. That's all I have time for. I'll be back with more very soon with more content. Be nice to each other. Remember, we're pagan. We're better than this. For Witchcraft TV and the Temple of Satan, my name is Dark Lady Selena, and I will talk to you guys later.